bit of a drop there. HTV family, how's it going? Welcome to Hold the Ball, home of Pure Rugby League. Nothing like a bit of a blooper there to start things off there. But in saying that, I'm here with special guest, regular guest actually, Brad Ingers. How have you been, man, and what's been happening?
Yeah, good, man. Thanks for having me on again. Busy week at work, but I'm happy to be on here chatting about a good game of footy.
Awesome as. And again, before we sort of start as well, please follow Brad Ingers as well. You can follow him there if you can see the screen on your bottom there, Instagram, Twitter, as well as Facebook there. That's the bottom of the screen there. But I look with all things, we all know how this sort of starts, right? Random match, 2009, July at the 12th of July, Mount Smart Stadium, Auckland, round 18 versus the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs. Unfortunately for the Warriors, we lose that game, 14 points to 18. Try scorers with Watuve, Locke, as well as Packer. And our Locke there, Kevin Locke, with the only penalty, with the only conversion there. Do you remember that game, Brad?
Don't remember it at all, but being at Mount Smart, I would have been there. Yeah, disappointing loss, I guess. There's so many other better games to talk about with Bulldogs at Mount Smart. What are you doing this to me for?
No worries. But that's just a random game there. So what we'll do also is we'll just get straight into it between the New Zealand Warriors with our SG as well as our New South Wales team. So results on the way for the SG ball. Unfortunately for the Warriors there, a tough game against the premiership winners, the Penrith Panthers there, us losing 24 points to 16. Did you watch that game? Did you see much of it or not?
No, they're not showing us a lot of SG ball over here in New Zealand.
Yeah.
So it's basically just seeing updates or highlights. So I didn't get to see much, but that's not a bad score against the reigning premiers.
No, not at all. Not at all a platform to work off, right? And then in our New South Wales Cup, unfortunately for the Warriors, we go down 12 points to 20 against the North Sydney Bears. Did you get a chance to have a glimpse of this game?
Just a little bit of highlights, mainly just interested in the whole Curran situation. So I wanted to see what he looked like out there. And he played reasonably well. He played a whole game. So no injuries, but lots of things there.
Yeah, look, speaking of Curran, we'll definitely bring him up later on. So stay tuned for that one as well. All right, guys, ladies and gentlemen, we all know, right? Over the weekend, something cool happened. Something amazing happened. That's right. The New Zealand Warriors, right? They actually beat the Cowboys 12 points to 26 in a game that I think, look, to be fair with you, I actually took the Cowboys to win that one. Apologies, but hey, it is what it is. I just went into this game here with a more reserved approach as opposed to being really optimistic. I wasn't too sure what I was going to get myself into. But the point being, the Warriors came in and they not only won, but they won well. They dominated. They dominated key facets, key areas of the game there. In particular, the defense was absolutely in sync. So much so to the point where even when they had a line break, for example, I'll touch on it just quickly, the Tawalangi line break, I'm not sure if you guys remember that. The Cowboys had scored and then they were going to score their second try, possibly. But the Warriors defensive line held up there, having three players not run towards the one ball carrier, but actually still have themselves spread apart, obviously waiting for Egan and Co to come in and finish the job there, which they did. It was a good game. What were your thoughts on that game there, Brad?
Yeah, I think it was the best game we've seen from the Warriors in years in terms of a complete performance. They've had ups and downs throughout the COVID seasons where they had a couple of good games, but I thought they played smart, which isn't something we always talk about with the Warriors. They closed the game out, as you said, defensively sound, but towards the end, it was when you would see them give away silly mistakes or penalties and let a team have a shot to come back in. But they played smart. They were running hard, kicking to the corners and making the Cowboys actually work. So I think it was, a really good platform to hopefully have the rest of the season come on from.
Awesome. And just quickly as well, ladies and gentlemen who are watching, please feel free to ask questions. We'll definitely gladly answer them as well. And feel free to chime in as well. Happy to read the comments as well. Another thing as well, you touched on it beforehand. You mentioned the last 3 years, obviously, with the COVID and all that stuff there, C-19, sorry. Warriors, yeah, you're right. We had some good wins there, but in the context of the season at large, none of them really mattered, right? Unfortunately, because we didn't make the 8 and so on and so forth. This one here, though, feels like it's a genuine push for the 8. Like, I know it's early, but we look like a team that was primed and ready. It's not really something I like saying because I've always been hurt in the past. Every time I've tried to jump here, so I'm going to be very cautious and very, and tread here carefully. But like you said, right? we've had wins before, but this really felt like it was something. Is it just me, or do you sort of feel this way as well, Brad, in the sense that this win here, it was a good win, but it's something that we can definitely use and perhaps a foreshadowing of, dare I even say it, good things to come?
Yeah, I'm tiptoeing on that line myself. I feel like there was enough there, and I think it was more the words from Webster afterwards, where he said there's still heaps to work on, and people aren't going to remember this win if you're not playing finals footy at the end of the year. So the fact that he's already planted those seeds with the players and with the fans for their expectations that, it's a stepping stone. There's a lot of stuff still to come, and it's all going to click eventually. But yeah, I think they are showing that potential. It's not like they've had a couple of easy games either. They lost to the Roosters. They could have won that one. They could be 3-0 right now. But yeah, going up against a Cowboys team that, had some big expectations on them and aren't really delivering right now. So it might be the best time to get the Cowboys. But yeah, I'm still kind of waiting and seeing until they have like a Penrith or a Melbourne. Not that Melbourne are doing that great right now either, but one of those, legitimate top tier teams to see, is it going to be another poor performance, or are they going to just do what they've been doing for the past 3 weeks and deliver consistent, decent football?
Well, it's funny you should mention that, because in the next couple of weeks we verse the Roosters again, so we get to test ourselves again against good quality opposition. However, in saying that, don't take anything away from the Cowboys. I mean, media and themselves, they're ready. They're ready for a top 4 finish. That's the reality, right? That's what they'll be talking about, what the media be talking about. So I understand what you're saying, definitely. But yeah, it is important though, just to tread carefully. Definitely. So Taylor Brooks here, just quickly. Brad, you should sell your fans the T-shirt that you're wearing. I'd buy one.
It's the only one I got. I'll look into it.
Just quickly as well. Evening. Yes, hope you guys are all well. I'll be going through the stuff now. All right. So in the game, there were some individual standout performances, as well as, a collective performance, defense, offense. Things were just in sync. Namely, the back three, kudos to them. So good, especially Tall Picky, taking advantage of an opportunity and doing well. Yeah. However, I'm just going to present to you 5 players here. We'll talk about them, but again, feel free to add. I have Wade Egan here. What were your thoughts on Wade Egan here? As we sort of, what are your thoughts?
He's been, in my opinion, the best player of the whole roster for the first 3 rounds. He's been, I know a lot of people were umming and ahhing about him, and if he could be a first-grade hooker, that could lead you to the promised land. But hasn't put a foot wrong. I feel for him, because it feels like he's battered and bruised every week. He's getting a week off this week after getting run over by Jason Tomololo. But yeah, I thought he was really, before that, a really solid game. His passes have got a lot better. I was quite critical of his ruck passes. And yeah, scoring a try in every game of the season so far. So he's not afraid to, do the little dummy half sneaks now. So yeah, big things for him, I think, once he comes back from his concussion stand down.
I believe he's about 24, 25 years of age. So you can argue and say that he's not quite yet in his prime yet, for a hooker. Yeah. So the best is yet to come. And if I'm the Warriors, I'm going to sign him as soon as possible. And I think his contract runs out 2024. Is that correct? Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, I'm pretty sure 2024 is the last year of his deal at the moment. Okay. I expect they'll announce an extension this year, I'm sure.
They have to. Just quickly here, Rasta, hey HTB, Eagle will be ruled out. Does Walker come into the hooker? No, I think Clow answered that for him there. Thank you, Clow. All right. And yeah, just quickly as well, Egan, before you jump onto Montoya, he's been so clinical. He's somebody who I think has definitely grown into his position. I say it all the time, but I really think that he's evolved. Because when he first came on board, I'm going to be honest with you, he wasn't the best hooker. Let's be quite frank. Defensively, I think he had the tools, right? Defense has never really been an issue, but in terms of his offensive skill set, that's been something we've always been trying to, I suppose, wait and see and see how it sort of develops. And it's developed well, and you're right. He's basically, in my opinion anyway, probably the most consistent and the best player we have going week to week. It's unfortunate he's out, but hey, it is what it is. Now we jump on to Marcelo Montoya, Chile Montoya. What were your thoughts on him in this game?
Right. I love how he plays. He has the error in him, as you see on your stats there. He had 3 errors. He occasionally has a couple of errors in him, but he's a terrifying runner. It looks like people legitimately don't want to tackle him. He runs hard and fast, and errors aside, you just know he's going to give you everything he's got. And it's good to see him actually getting some tries on the back end of all the hard work he's doing now. Because even last year, he wasn't getting as many tries, but he was doing all those hard yards, running out from your own try line. So good to see him get some rewards there.
He's someone who's very hungry for this position, right? He's hungry to play top-level NRL, and he's not afraid to give his all, as you said. He always does, regardless of errors. Unfortunately, it is what it is. You take with the good and the bad, but thankfully he gives us more good than he does bad. So It is what it is. With 246 run meters as well, he was running up the guts really hard for us, right? Build a platform. I think Toy Harris sort of spoke about it too in the post conference, naming the three, our 3-back players there. They sort of set the other. I do say so myself. So it was actually quite good. Shaun Johnson, right, the man of the hour. What are your thoughts on him in this game?
I thought it was his best game to date. I think I said it on your show, on my own, I think on Ruin Hammers as well. I said, if the forwards do their job, you're going to see Shaun be more free. And if he gets some help from Tamari Martin, we're going to see Shaun a bit more relaxed, and that will open up opportunities. And that's kind of what you saw here. He was allowed to have a bit more free running because Tamari Martin and everyone else was doing their jobs. So hopefully we see more of this in the future. I know he's quite a divisive player at the best of times. He's got everybody watching every single thing he does. But yeah, I think the more pressure you can take off him, the better Shaun you're going to get. So fingers crossed we see more performances like this.
Well, yeah, that's right. That's right. I agree with you. It was definitely his best performance, but it's a performance where you want to hopefully see it develop and continue. Consistency is key. And unfortunately, as you said, Shaun Johnson, right, he has fans and he has critics because he is inconsistent. We see him sort of blast off like a game like this, and then unfortunately, sometimes the next game, he's unfortunately nowhere to be seen. So it is about trying to keep that consistency there. And just a question here from Jar Roster. Do you believe that Shaun Johnson and Tamari Martin secure the 6 and 7 for now? I suppose it goes without saying, right, Brad?
Yeah, I think they do. I think this was the first time we really saw them click as a halves pairing. So just when it looks like it's starting to gel, you don't want to go and switch. So I'm happy for them to keep it right now until there's an injury or something really bad happens, performance-wise. If it ain't broke, don't change it,
Understood. And I suppose just keeping on that subject as well, a statement here by Zork Necrophades. I don't know why they aren't starting 12 picky again. Kid proved he can be solid. Move Cenac to the centers and drop Pompey to the bench. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, we talked about it a bit before we went live. I think it's tough on the kid after having a good debut to be dropped straight back down. But Andrew Webster already basically said once CNK's healthy, he's coming back in because he's the number one fullback. So they don't want to move him to centre. Pompey, I'm not his biggest fan, but he isn't really putting a foot wrong at the moment. So dropping him just to be able to put the kid in. Tane's going to be playing first grade sooner rather than later. He's going to get his time to shine, especially with the way there's so many injuries in the NRL right now. He's going to get another opportunity. And he seems to have, like I said to you earlier, he's got a good head on his shoulders. He knows his time's coming and he's not getting itchy feet and looking to just abandon the plans the Warriors have in place for him just because someone's saying we'll let you play first grade straight away.
Yeah, no, well said. Aaron Fonua Blake, right? He played 41 minutes, 1 try assist, 144 run meters, 3 tackle breaks, 1 line break assist, 1 offload, 23 tackles, 1 miss, and 0 errors. Just to summarize that there. Brad, what were your thoughts on him overall?
Yeah, I was a little bit rough on him last week. I thought he was quieter than I expect from him. He still had a good game, but this week he went up another level to what we kind of always expect him to do, leading the pack up the front, occasionally getting an offload, and he only got one this week. But when he doesn't offload, things happen. So hopefully we see a bit more from that from him. His defensive work's always really good. He's only missing 1 or 2 tackles at most, if any, and he made no errors, which is always a big thing for me. So I'm really happy with his performance, and hopefully, like I've been saying already, it's the platform that they're building on. So hopefully this is going to become the expectation, not an outlier.
Yeah, no, I agree with you as well. I'll also say, though, with Adam Van Blake, I think he's added definitely to his craft the offensive game. Right? Sometimes I think he's been really one-directional. That's not a bad thing. It's a good thing, but it's good to see that he's added more assets to his game, makes it more creative, and again, it just gives us more help. Obviously, granted, like that try assist there to Egan to score, like it was great work there. He's growing into his own there, and I really like what I'm seeing there. Last player as well, just quickly, Tane Tuopiki. What were your thoughts on him overall on his game and the way he played?
Yeah, thought he had a great debut. He's got a lot of reps on him. I've only got to see highlights from the Queensland Cup days where he was, dominating everything there. But you don't get to see everything when you watch a highlights package. You just get to see all the good stuff. But thought he did well. He did miss a couple of tackles. That happens. But yeah, he was running the ball. He's really good at breaking those tackles and being evasive. And it's exciting for the future when you look at Tane, Metcalf, and all those young guys that are going to be playing in reserve grade right now, leading into the future when they're first graders regularly for the Warriors. It just makes me excited for the future.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I'm just quickly scrolling by the comments there. All right, ladies and gentlemen, New Zealand Warriors versus the Bulldogs. This game is for the first time back in Mount Smart, back in the spiritual home ground, if you will. Right? It's the first game for the year as well. We're taking on this team here. And the Bulldogs haven't been traveling too bad, in my opinion. Granted, a bit of hit and miss, and I suppose they'll probably be reflecting on that game against the Tigers and probably wanting to do a lot better than the result there. I think, it could have gone really bad for them at the end there. And saying that, though, today's Teamless Tuesday. And I just want to quickly bring up the team selection just first. But, in saying that, we'll get straight into it. Just quickly, give me 2 seconds. Apologies. Here we go. Here is the team selection. Just quickly, and apologies there, guys, that you can't see our faces there. Sorry for that. But what sort of jumps out at you as well there, Brad, with the team selection against the Bulldogs?
It's kind of what I expected. I expected the injured players, if they were healthy, to come back. So that was Chance and Jackson. Egan, we already knew was out. And with the way Webster has been doing, if number one's gone, the next one in the depth chart takes the spot. So I expected Freddie Lussick to come in. Still no Curran, which is interesting. I prefer having a Curran to a Bailey Saranen myself, but whatever's going on there, I'm not sure. But I think it's a good-looking side. I don't think anyone deserved to be dropped. But I understand with some of them injury-wise not being there, particularly Mitch Barnett, who I thought was fantastic before he went off. But yeah, I'm very happy with that team.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It does suck, though, that Egan is not playing. Obviously, Barnett as well. You sort of touched on that. I'm interested, though, in the Josh Curran situation. And I said we'll talk about him, and I think we will as well. I thought it was injury the last time he was dropped. But something tells me it might be, I'm not sure. Effort, lack of effort. Is it just something the coach is seeing we're not seeing? What are your thoughts on him not being in the bench?
Yeah, it's obviously all speculation because we haven't heard anything from the club. They kind of said he wasn't playing because of injury, and then he played 80 minutes in reserve grade in Auckland last weekend. So I feel like if you're not good enough injury-wise for first grade, you're not going to be playing 80 minutes. So I think, I'm not sure. It could just be a performance at training. Like, he might not be hitting the targets that Andrew Webster wants from him. And Andrew Webster has shown, if he doesn't think you're pulling your weight in all the facets of footy, game day, training, all that stuff, he will give someone else an opportunity. So I think that could be what it is, but I'm completely speculating here.
Everyone knows I'm a big Josh Curran fan, so I'm hoping to see King Curran back in the selection, back in the starting squad or back in the bench anyway. And just quickly as well, just to round it off, I'm actually, I'm happy Freddie's in there. Obviously, he's hooker number 2, and I think he'll have a decent game there. And I'm looking forward to him sort of playing. So I cannot wait to sort of see how that pans out there. And apologies there. I think I may have made a mistake there with Yami on there. So apologies.
Yeah, Vali is there instead.
Yeah, that's right. He is. So apologies there, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so we go into the Bulldog squad, and I'll quickly have it up here for you guys. What are your thoughts on their squad all around?
It's not a bad squad. Reed Marnie has kind of been doing a lot of good things for them since he signed. Kakao is always a threat. If he's having a good day or a bad day, you don't want him getting the ball. Matt Burton is, need I say more? And then you got Josh Adokar. Jacob Carraz has been playing really well for them as well. Haynes Perham, I think, has been playing reasonably well at fullback, and I'm sure playing the Warriors at Mount Smart, he's probably got a little bit more incentive to do well. So it's a dangerous side. You never take them lightly. As confident as I may be in the Warriors right now, a team like that on paper, you can't give them any disrespect. Otherwise, they'll tell you.
Yeah, no, you're right, exactly. And just to go off there as well, with what you said, Kiko as well, right? We got Raymond Faitala Marino as well. We all know what he can produce. I think he's been decent. You touched on Reed Marnie as well. I must feel like the halves as well will be looking at this game here as a game that they can improve on. Again, we all know their performance against the Tigers probably wasn't their best performance. Granted, they won. And I think they look at this game here as a game where they can potentially try and pull the upset. But another thing as well I just want to touch on as well, just quickly with this game, before we get to the preview, was the Warriors. We know when they win a game against a team like the Cowboys, we go into a game against the Bulldogs where we think we should win this game, and then more often than not, it ends up not being the case. So as we sort of touched on as well, the general theme has been consistency and I suppose being really cautious around this. But you sort of touched on that you're quietly, I suppose, optimistic. The preview of the game, how do you think this game here, in your opinion, I suppose, how does it pan out? What are your thoughts on this game here between the two teams?
I think it's going to rely heavily on the middles. The Warriors are going to have to try to do what they did with the Cowboys and just bully them up front, and then it kind of opens the spaces. The edge defense is going to have to be on point with both Adokar and Jacob Carraz playing as well as they are at the moment. The Bulldogs are going to want to get the balls out to them. Chance, he's had a couple of dropsies under the high ball. I expect Burton's big bombs will come back. So, win it up front. It's the cliche from a former prop. It's the most important role in the team. If the props aren't doing their job, it just makes everyone else's life harder.
Yeah. No, yeah, I agree. Obviously, all right. So I guess the way I sort of look at this game here, I think definitely a middle game for sure. But I think at the same time as well, we're going to be relying on the likes of Montoya and Gossi to really ram it up the guts there again against a team like the Bulldogs. Obviously, you got the likes of Josh Adokar. We know what Josh Adokar can do on a good day. And Carraz as well. He's been growing in this position. I think he leads the Dally M points right now as we speak. So we're versing a very quality team with some quality individuals. So we've got to be very careful here. Our defense, I think, will be tested. Probably, I don't want to insult the Cowboys here. I think in terms of the Bulldogs' attack out in the backs, I think there'll be more of a challenge than what the Cowboys brought to us, so to speak. And I don't mean that disrespectfully. Obviously, you got the likes of Adokar, Carraz I'm relying on there. But I also think Avarillo as well could be potentially a threat. And Alamotti as well, the centre there. He's a barnstorming runner. He's a very strong, graceful ball runner. So again, how do our backs meet their backs? But again, I'm just expecting defense, 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 defense. Why? Because it's what we've seen. Why? Because I think it's a philosophy that the Warriors are now thankfully showing after many years of us pulling our hair, our hair out of our heads there as fans. It's finally coming to fruition, and a team that's actually stable in defense. Granted, we know it's early, but again, if you want to, how do I say this? This is a big test. I think a lot of pressure's on the Warriors here to win this, in my opinion. It's at home, momentum, defense, players, coach. There's a lot they're riding, and I suppose in saying that, prediction, Brad, how do you think this game finishes off?
Yeah, I think Warriors 12 and under. I think it'll be tighter than some people have been predicting. I know there's a lot of people riding the waves after that win, but yeah, the Bulldogs are tough. But I think being that first game at Mount Smart, the Warriors have, as we saw last year when they came back, they get a little bit of a boost, and but I think it's going to be tight. So yeah, 12 and under. I think it's going to be a real hard fought win. But as you said, as long as the defense that we've seen so far in the first 3 weeks is there, they should be able to get the job done.
Yep, no, and I agree with you. Last week I tipped the opposition. This week here I'm going to be tipping the Warriors to win. And yeah, look, I agree with you. I think it's going to be a hard game there. But you know what? Stuff it. I'm going 13 plus. The Warriors to win 13 plus. I really think if we can build on what we did against the Cowboys, then we should be okay. And so long as your defense, because defense wins you premierships. I don't care what anyone says. I believe that's it. But so long as our defense is strong, I really think we have the arsenal there to really turn our attack into points. Something we've struggled with, but I think we've actually gone a lot better is scoring tries near the opposition try line. Thankfully. So I think that's So for me, I'm going 13 plus. Anyway, see what happens. So now come into hard-hitting questions. First one: is a battle for spots finally paying off, or is it too early to tell?
I think from what we've seen so far, it's paying off. We saw with Tane, he got his opportunity, came in, did his job, and did it well. We saw the fact that Jackson Ford, the kind of player he is, I had him completely written off before the season even started as a New South Wales Cup player, and that was it. But I think he is probably the biggest one, because it probably showed a lot of the other players that if you show up with the right attitude and perform well, you'll be given a spot, because his spot was basically, we all thought Curran had that spot, and there was no one to take it off him, but he showed what he needed to do, got it. So yeah, I think it's paying off at the moment. Hopefully we see it continue, because injuries happen, so we'll see a few more situations like this. But yeah, I think it's paying off.
Yep. Okay. Topicky. With his performances, and I know you touched on the fact, I don't see him throwing in the towel and putting up a stink, because he got dropped, understandably, for this game here. But do you think there'd be some NRL clubs circling his name as a potential pickup? Yes or no?
Yeah, I think that's always going to happen. If a player plays well and they come off contract, you're going to see them want to try to pick players like that up. But yeah, I think he's going to stick around. I think Webster's pretty good, from what I've seen in interviews, at painting a picture for the players of what he sees for them, and I think he's probably already pitched him, the idea of, give it time. This is going to be your position and your position alone. So as long as he's got patience, I think he'll stick around.
Yeah, no, I hope he does. Again, I'm really pleased by his offensive game. I really think he has a real good knack there. He runs you sort of like the Jaden Campbell-esque, if you will, where, they're just gun players who just know, what sort of lines to sort of break, and he's just got the gift, I think, anyway, offensively. So, yeah, I think that's pretty good there. this might be a generalistic question, but I'll ask it anyway. Cowboys had the biggest squad. How did we manage to win that battle, considering we've lost to teams like this in the past?
In terms of winning the middle, I think it's not always about size. It's about heart and guts. I think you look at a guy like Jazz, one of the little guys when it comes to a middle forward, and he's always going forward. So yeah, it's size is one thing, but how you use it's another. So they the Warriors have adjusted their front row style where you're not relying on the big boys. Potentially, you're trying to use a bit more movement, and sometimes going up against a big team, they can't defend that as well. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But yeah, I think that's kind of how they won. They were using more lateral movement a little bit more when it came to the props. So yeah, it was just a bit more skill, I think, than just brute force.
Okay, nope, I agree. Last question as well before we move into the tips. And again, just g'day there, ladies and gentlemen. How you guys going? And thank you again, PKR Sports, for your input as well. Appreciate it. And hope you guys are enjoying the stream thus far. Thoughts on our coach so far, Brad?
I love him. He just seems like a very honest guy. He doesn't try to pull the wool over anyone's eyes when they ask him questions. He's very direct, and he just seems to have a plan and seems to have the backing to go with that plan, and it seems to be working. So shock horror, the Warriors have got a coach and they're actually trying to help him for once, so that's always a bonus. But yeah, I like what I've seen from him. First, I don't want to see the Warriors get into a rough patch of form and then have people demanding that he gets the sack, because there will be ups and downs, but I think he's the right guy for the job, which I didn't say when they announced his signing. I was on the fence. I was like, I'm not really sure what we're going to get, but yeah, what I've seen so far, I'm very happy.
Well, look, I can't blame you. You know what I mean? Like, how many coaches have in the last 10 years, right? Like, you just, every coach that comes in, you're just very about Webster. I really appreciate the time he's taken to really try and instill a vision, right? A vision. Defense is the vision, is what I'm gathering, right? And everything else will sort of just work around that, as opposed to attack. And obviously, we know how that has gone for the last couple of years. I also appreciate as well that he's instilling philosophy and I suppose a different way and a different approach to the game. And last as well, I really like that he's very well articulated, the way he speaks. He doesn't rush his words. I don't know, it's a very minute thing, but I really appreciate a coach who can really select his words, really think critically before he says things. It shows you a coach that is analyzing things much like a Wayne Bennett, much like an Ivan Cleary, much like I suppose Bellamy too in the odd occasion. But you get what I mean. There's some coaches there who just they're critically thinking. It just, I suppose, serves up a bit of confidence for someone like myself and I'm sure others as well. And our tips. All right, we have a massive week ahead of us with Rugby League, right? The first game, and unfortunately, I don't have the teams there, but anyway, we'll just talk through it. So game number 1 is the Eels against the Panthers. Just to give you guys a bit of context, if the Eels lose this is going to be game number 4 they've lost in a row. That's insane. What are your thoughts on this game here?
Yeah, I think they're going down again. I think the Panthers have been a bit patchy, but they had that bye week off, and I think they would have reset, and I think they're gonna get the Eels here. But the Eels do have a knack of beating the Panthers in games that don't count. So they very well could get the win here, but I'd be going with Panthers all day.
Yeah, look, with me, you're so right though. Honestly, like the Eels are probably the only team that can beat them convincingly, right, during the regular season where it does matter. In saying that though, yeah, I think I'm going to lean with you there. Panthers for me. The next game here is a Storm against the Tigers, and the Tigers are literally in the same boat as the Eels here. Who saw this coming? Because I didn't. I really thought the Tigers would be better than this. I thought maybe 2 at most. 1 and 3. Not looking down the barrel of 0 and 4. 0 and 4. Storm coming off a loss against the Titans. They're not going to lose 3 times in a row, are they? Surely not. What are your thoughts on this game, Brad?
Yeah, the Tigers bamboozled all of us. I was quite confident that I wasn't expecting them to be a finals team by any stretch of the imagination, but I expected to see them better. But they're exactly the same as they were last year. They just look horrible. And yeah, Bellamy ain't going down 2 in a row. So Storm are going to punish the Tigers for what the Titans did to the Storm last week. Unfortunately, I want to see the Tigers succeed.
Just quickly as well, did the Storm lose their game prior to the Titans? I'm just going to go back on that in case the Bulldogs. You guys can see me there. Apologies. Okay.
I think they did. Did they?
The next game. Yes, I think they lost to the Bulldogs.
Yeah, they did. So they're already on 2 games. So they ain't going to lose 3 then. Change it.
No, definitely not. And the worst team as well to play, for the Tigers. Look, it's sad. It's sad. All right, Dolphins and Broncos, the biggest game, in my opinion, of the week. It's bragging rights. Whose home is this? As you're sort of hearing here and there. Who do you think wins this game? Golfosi, unfortunately, has been banned for 4 weeks as well, just to add a bit of news to this game here.
I'm going Broncos. I want to see the Dolphins win, but I think Kafusi is going to be a big loss. He's kind of been a defensive linchpin for this Dolphins team. And no Jeremy Marshall-King. They did well without Jeremy Marshall-King this week, just gone. But I think against a team like the Broncos, with how they're playing at the moment, I think unfortunately the Broncos are going to get it. But I really want to see the Dolphins win. They've been like the great story of the season so far.
Yeah, look, I agree with you. Unfortunately, I think all good stories sometimes have an end. In saying that, though, as well, no disrespect to the Knights, but it's quite clear 2 different oppositions here that the Dolphins will be facing, right? And this is going to be a big game, and I'll be watching it, and I'll definitely be tuning into it. On Saturday, we see the first game, the Cowboys against the Titans. Another Queensland derby, which I'll be definitely looking forward to as well when I as I do my Queensland only thing. Who do you think wins this game here?
I think it has to be the Cowboys. I know the Titans did well against the Storm, but the Cowboys have something to prove after being embarrassed at home by the Warriors. So I think they're going to come out firing. And the Titans, they can score all the points they want. They don't know how to defend. So I think the Cowboys defensively are better, so I'll give them the edge there. But the way I've been picking this year, I've probably got it all wrong.
Okay, hey, I'm not going to say too much here as well, Brad. Don't worry. So, look, this is a tough one, honestly, because the Broncos could be staring down the barrel of 3 losses in a row, right? Broncos, Warriors, and potentially Titans. Granted, Titans probably defensively, they're definitely not the best team. However, offensively, they can definitely use that there. In saying that, though, you'll think back against the wall, truly this time, the Cowboys pulled it off. You'd think, right? You'd think. Next game here's the big one. Rabbitohs against the Sea Eagles. And I guess I'll just quickly say as well, respectfully as well, rest in peace to John Sattler as well. Obviously a great there for the club. In saying that, though, this game here, who do you think wins this one here?
Manly. I try not to. I never really bet against Manly when Tommy Turbo's playing and playing well. And I think we're seeing the Tommy Turbo of old. So I think it's there. The Rabbitohs have just been making too many errors the past couple of weeks. They're their own worst enemy when it comes to that. And if they start this game with a case of the dropsies, I don't think they have a chance.
Yeah, no. Okay, so something the ups. Okay, you're going for the upset there. I think I'm gonna go with the Rabbitohs for a bounce back. I think they'll bounce back well, but like you said, they're a team that can sort of, unfortunately, lack a bit of the HTV there. So we'll have to see what happens in this game. But for me, I think I'll back the Rabbitohs. I think I'll back the Rabbitohs to take this one here. We've already spoken about the Warriors and Bulldogs, so we'll skip that. Both Brad and I have tipped the Warriors to win. Second to last game here, we have the Knights against the Raiders. Who do you think takes this one out?
Raiders. I just don't think the Knights have got too many suspensions and injuries. And the Raiders looked a lot better this week. So I think they're starting to find their groove. So I'm going with them.
Yep, I'm going to agree as well. Raiders for me. And the last game of the round is Dragons against the Sharks.
Sharks. Nico's back. I basically, whenever, it's a bit like the Tommy Turbo thing, whenever Nico's playing, I kind of pick the Sharks. So, I expect big things out of him. In my show, our preseason predictions, I had him as Dally M for the second year in a row. So I kind of have to back the Sharks for my prediction to come right.
Unfortunately, even score until the very end, right? When the Broncos decided it's time to get real. Yeah. Obviously, the Sharks as well losing that game against the Raiders, a close game too. I'm not sure. However, in saying that, Nico Hines might be the one for me, so I think I'll sway towards the Sharks there.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll come to the final segment of the podcast before we sort of go. Now, Brad, this is all for Brad here to answer, so I'm hoping that he gets it correct. For your information as well, ladies and gentlemen, nobody has actually got it wrong, so there's a lot of pressure here at stake. All right, here we go. Date of birth, who am I? I was born the 3rd of the 10th, 1986 in Christchurch, New Zealand. I played 84 games for the Warriors from 2006 to 2008. Then I played 66 games for the Penrith Panthers. Then I finished off my career playing 48 games for Manly. My preferred position is second row hooker and centre. I played 1 game for the New Zealand Mould in 2010 and 15 caps for the Kiwis from 2010 to 2016. Who am I?
Ooh, I don't know.
I'll give you a clue. His nickname was Sharky.
Oh, Louis Brown. Yeah.
When
I saw it first, I thought it was Peter Hickey, and there's like, no, he was born in the same era I was, so it wasn't Christchurch. But yeah, Louis Brown. I completely forget about him all the time.
Yeah, that's it. He was somebody I liked watching play for the Warriors. I thought he meant well and he played well, and I wasn't the biggest fan when we let him go, but it is what it is. What are your thoughts on Louis Brown overall?
I thought he was a solid player, and I was upset to see him go, but he was just a solid, dependable player. He wasn't all that flashy, but you don't need every player to be a superstar flashy player. So he just got in there and did the work. I'm sure his career would have gone a bit longer if he didn't have so many injuries, but I'm very happy with what he did with us.
Yep. And just quickly as well, before we go, I actually forgot to include this, so apologies there, Brad. Tavanga, what were your thoughts on him in that game against the Cowboys before we wrap it up? Sorry about that.
Fantastic. I had him as my warrior of the match. There was quite a few of them that could have got it, but thought his first game back in first grade, I know he played reserve grade the week before, but it's a completely different level. And he just never looked like he had missed any games for injury and was strong up the middle. Him and Dylan Walker, apart from making me confused on who was who, they really combined well. And just great to see him back. I know there were a lot of people that weren't sure where he was going to fit in the game day 17 with the signings of Walker and the likes. But yeah, he shows. I don't think it really matters where you put him out there. If he's out there, he's gonna do good stuff for you. And he's worked on his discipline, which was his only downfall. So, a well-behaved Tavanga that's still aggressive is a solid addition to any team. So I'm very happy to see him back.
Just quickly as well, it wasn't that long ago where he was not being very disciplined, right? And I suppose there were calls amongst us fans probably calling him to not be picked in the 17, and it wasn't that long ago. So again, it shows you the maturity that Tavanga was gone through as a player, obviously on and off the field as well. And between those two, that was, oh my goodness, I loved it. And I cannot wait to see it pan out again next week. But in saying that, Brad, thank you again for your time. Thank you for the yarn. I'm sure you'll be back on again. But in saying that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. Hope you guys have enjoyed this episode. Don't forget, again, to follow, share, and like. And Follow Brad as well on the platforms there. We have Instagram, we've got Twitter as well as Facebook. But again, I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Take it easy. See you guys next time. And Brad, he knows how to hold the ball. Take it easy. See you guys next time.
Cheers, guys.